This is Paul Braren from TinkerTry, and I have Chris Williams, who I'm going to be seeing at a VTOG, or Virtualization Technology User Group, coming up in Maine. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing fine. Hi, everyone.
So, Chris, you reached out to me a while back. We've been talking about SuperServers and Supermicro specifically, and really the Xeon D. And I actually had my little mini tower with me back at the spring VTOG meeting. So I think I met you in, where was it, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, right?
Yep.
Yep, and we had several people there, and the leader, and I had the server with me, and we talked about storage and CPU and some of the appealing factors. So you're hooked on the idea of Xeon D, but you have a rack, I gather. Can you tell us a little bit about your home lab, or what you got, and what this potential purchase of yours will be joining?
Yep. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do the finish the last bits of my my home lab. It's been in desperate need of a refresh for a very long time. Historically, I was working on a massive gaming laptop, but ever since the expansion of vSphere 6 and the new ESXi RAM needs, I need to go a little bit bigger. So currently, right now, I have a quarter rack in my. Actually, it's downstairs now. This was stuff. I just stuffed this underneath my desk. It's downstairs in the basement. It's a quarter rack on a range extender with an HP 16-port gig switch and a Synology 415 NAS, which I'm going to be running iSCSI out of and NFS out of. So the only thing that I need left is the CPU and RAM for my virtualized home lab. So that's why we're here.
Excellent. And how many ports? You have plenty of ports available on your switch, and you're thinking about,
yeah.
Yep. And so 10 gig is not a big priority, but you can use those extra ports as 1 gig ports, of course, uplinks if you want.
Yep, absolutely.
And someday, if you get a NAS that actually has 10 gig capability, imagine your iSCSI then, because this thing could actually keep up with it. That's good stuff. So yeah, we're basically taking the same SuperServer, and if you click on the little tower, mini tower over on the right, where it says Support TinkerTry Home Lab, that brings you to the order page. Scroll down just a little bit for me, Chris, since you're controlling here. Thanks. That's my foam board that I bring with me when I demo this thing at various user groups. And it shows some of the key features, and the memory, Chris, is what you're after. How much do you think you're doing today? When we buy a kit, like Intel NUC, you're buying a bare bones machine, meaning it's got a CPU, and it's got a fan, and a case, and all that stuff pre-assembled and ready to go. But it is missing memory and storage. So what are you thinking for memory? Let's start with that question.
So it's I mean, obviously this is my home lab, so it's going to be a little bit dependent upon price. I would love to go with 128 gigs. I'm currently studying for my VCAP 6 deploy, and the exam itself has 7 ESXi hosts in there. Ooh. So 7 times 8 is 56. So 64 would be rubbing right up at the top with the vCenter and the main controllers. So just to give myself wiggle room, because I'm also going to want to install VROPs and log inside and all of the other tchotchkes in there, I want to go with 128. But if it becomes cost prohibitive, then I'll go with 64.
Okay. And storage, are you reusing any hard drives you have around?
Not for so I have the hard drives in my 415. I'm not going to be repurposing anything, so I will need some storage for the SuperServer.
Okay, and then that NVMe, today we've got the Samsung 850, for instance, with those really high, read rates, 2,500 megabytes per second, a great place to put vCenter, keep your infrastructure and keep it running ridiculously quick. And then, some of your bigger VMs and stuff are going to be going over that iSCSI, and that's what I'm thinking you're probably doing, right? For now, the motherboard, whether it's in a 1U or in a mini tower, of course, you have the ability to do that M.2 storage. And you have a PCI slot for another M.2 if someday you decide to get a second one. Mm-hmm. All right, so go ahead and scroll down a little bit, and you'll see July 11th right there. It's saying an update. I put the 1U on there. Scroll, and then if you click the below link, it'll jump right to the spot you want to be in. There it is.
Shazam.
Right. So we lit this up for you today, Chris. You're the prototype. Other people have bought it before you, of course. Many have. It's just not a bundle that I've tested in my home. So that's what I meant by not TinkerTry'd. No big deal. It's the same motherboard. What do they do that's different? What they do, if you look, that picture's kind of small, but the motherboard's crammed over to the left there, and it's got a fan behind it. And that fan is right behind where the CPU is. So it's drawing air across the CPU. So instead of a fan that sits on top of the CPU, they basically change the part number of the motherboard slightly and move the CPU to the back of the case. That's it. From an OS level, it'll have no clue this is a different server than mine in your home, Chris. It'll be the same for VMware or whatever you install in there someday. Okay? So that's good. The other thing I'll point out where your mouse was, the PCI slot. It's laying to its side. That gives you the advantage of a full height PCI slot that I don't have. Now, mind you still want to work within the 200 watt power supply you have, so it's a slightly smaller. And if you scroll down a little, I lay out the advantages and then some minor drawbacks here, disadvantages, drawbacks. And they're minor. You're not going to come near that 200 watts unless you're trying to jam a huge GPU or something particularly power hungry. You couldn't possibly do it even with 10 terabyte hard drives. They're very watt miserly these days, 5-6 watts, no big deal. So you're not going to have any issue with the 200 watt power supply because your machine will idle in the 30 watt zone if you have like Windows on there at idle. When you put VMware in there, it'll probably idle at about 60, 70 watts with all the network ports in use and a few VMs spun up. And then when you're actually banging away at the VMs and doing your labs, it might hit 75, 80, maybe 85 watts. Total system watt burn is what we're talking about, including IPMI management on the motherboard. So do you have any idea what your watt burn is now with your existing your existing half rack or quarter rack there?
No. The only thing that's running in there is the switch and the NAS. So I actually don't have any host components running in there at all. So it'll be a little bit more, but that's your numbers have been acceptable.
All right, Chris, so now we're ready to actually place the order. So clicking on the word order 1U or the picture, either one will do.
All right.
It'll basically just bring you to a wired zone. That is an affiliate link, so because of that long URL at the top, when you are interested in buying something from Wired Zone, it's preferred if you like to help TinkerTry and you appreciate the articles I've written, to use those links that come from my site. And it's very much like an Amazon affiliate link. I get a small, modest commission for sales that go to Wired Zone from my site. There you'll see the base price of the 1U. It's actually $1,200. The price has dropped again. That's good. Click on Add to Cart. And you can say continue shopping because we're not done yet. We want to add some RAM. So if you hit left arrow, scroll down a little bit. So we're done reading about the server and we're done placing the order and putting in the basket. Now you get some RAM. And Chris, the RAM price just dropped 3 weeks ago. It's under $200 and it's I think $80 more on Amazon. So good timing. Awesome. You're getting the faster DDR4 that's at $2,400.
All right.
Go ahead and click that link. Yeah, and we're going to add whatever quantity you would like.
Is this per pack or per stick?
This is per stick.
Okay.
The bundles do come with 64 gig and 2 sticks, and then you add another. With Chris's, he's ordering the bare bones 1U, so he's adding quantity 4. It doesn't come with any memory, in other words. All right, now you can click on View Your Basket. Let's see what the total price looks like. Now, okay, so you've already authenticated at Wired Zone. People that are new to Wired Zone will ask you to, log in at this point or create an account if you don't have one already. Notice it has, Chris, I'll blur out some of the personal stuff, of course, in the shopping cart, but click on Estimate Shipping. Let's see how it goes for New Hampshire for you. And it says shipping calculated during checkout, okay, and it gives a bunch of prices. So it's not quite free. I'm not quite sure why that is, but Chris, I admitted earlier that you're the very first one you order, and $7 or $8 just sounds pretty modest anyway.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay. Now, so you've got the 1U. You've got a memory stick. Now, for most other stuff, like you have a NAS, you have no plans to be buying a 6 terabyte or 8 terabyte or some of the other accessories I have. But if you could just left arrow to quickly give folks a look at those. So left arrow back to TinkerTry. One more page, 2 more pages. There it is. Okay, so we're in the options area. Scroll down a little further because now we've handled the memory. And I start talking about drives, some of the common ones. Now, these, Chris, scroll down just a little bit so we can see the 2 Samsungs. All right, so the 1 terabyte has not come out yet. There is a Toshiba, and then there'll be a Samsung 960. So depending upon when you listen to this video, right now it's July of 2016. By this winter time, by fourth quarter, you will have many options. You might even have 2 terabytes by then, I don't know, but at least 1 terabyte you'll have Samsung and Toshiba. For today, Chris, I think your needs are modest, but I think you'll also be amazed by the speed of M.2. It's 4.5 times faster than any traditional SATA drive like the one pictured below because of the bus. It goes a little tiny, small gum stick that you lay down right on your flat motherboard. 1 screw, you're done. It takes all of 20 seconds to install. And on a rack mount 1U like you'll be dealing with, it's really trivial to put that thing in, like a 10-second job. So Chris, you might we were talking a little bit earlier about your lab. vCenter is traditionally kind of a pig, whether you're using vSphere web client. It needs all the help it can get to be really fast on the server. If you're just trying to go through a lab, you don't really want to get vCenter in your way and put it on a spinny drive. that would be a great place to put it, would be maybe thin provision on pricey storage, admittedly, like the Samsung M.2. We'll check the price together in a minute, but are there other VMs as part of your self-training for certification that you could think of that are not necessarily huge on the disk storage need, and if you thin provision them, they might not take much, but you'd really like to see a boost in performance? You already know they're slow.
Well, I mean, for boost in performance, obviously, you want to think about SQL Server and stuff like that. The caveat that I have is I want to be running VROPS, but VROPS is not only a CPU pig, but it's also an IOPS and disk space pig. So I wouldn't put my VROPS deployment here. So I think vCenter, the PSC, which is tiny. Well, actually, no, the PSC would sit in the data store. No, just vCenter for right now.
Okay. So to help you make a decision, let's see the difference in price. Let's start with the 512 and just see what it says. So click on that. And this is Wired Zone. We could also check Amazon or Newegg or whatever your favorite is. So it's pricey, right? But that's half a terabyte. That's quite a large chunk.
Right.
Now let's left arrow and let's see the price in the other. 205, okay? And then if you want to fire up another tab and just let's hit Amazon or something, just see what it looks like today. These prices are dynamic. I would encourage people to check these, right? And it's certainly by no means necessary to order this at the time with your server. Because, Chris, you're installing ESXi yourself. Wired Zone's basically sending you a server that's been burned and tested. That's
right.
All, so, yep. And they only come in 2 sizes currently, so that should give you... There you go. The price in the other one's a little cheaper today. And it's Prime, which I guess, are you a Prime member?
Actually, I was just about to sign up for that too.
Okay. So what do you think for a little bit of snazzy internal storage and then iSCSI, NAS for everything else? Is that kind of the way you're leaning? I'm not pushing you to decide now. You can order nothing tonight if you want. Okay.
No. I think we're going to go with this. With it.
Okay,
yep.
Cool. So that you'll be doing, off camera. You're going to go ahead and order that separately. And we've all seen the price. So let's head back to Wired Zone. The price is seesaw, and I already admitted the price of memory was like $80 more on Amazon and Newegg last week from Wired Zone. So you're going to find some stuff more, some stuff less. But on the whole, their prices are very fair, especially when other resellers would tend to jack up the price quite a bit whenever you add RAM and disk and so forth. Whereas Wired Zone is just piecemeal. You put the parts together and you add the total price. Since we're finishing up the Amazon topic, hit left arrow. What's the one you happens to be missing at this moment in time? Bullet 4. There you go. Go ahead and open that in a new tab. Or the same tab, yep. And then just add it to your shopping cart since you're already building yourself an Amazon cart. You can take care of that later. Then left arrow twice. Let's see if there's anything else. There's a PC speaker you might be interested in. All right.
No.
And then SATA cables you don't need and stickers you don't need. All right. So.
Well, I'd like a sticker.
All right. I'll hand you one.
Okay. All right.
See you in a week. Yeah. There you go. You can click on the logo though if you want to tease people. So there's the swag, right? So people can buy stuff and scroll down a little bit.
Yeah. That's the good stuff.
And the stickers. It's hard when you're buying just one, but they're pretty modest. They don't charge shipping, by the way. So it is $3.76 to buy a sticker. That's not bad. It's not too punitive. All right. So you're ready to head on over to Wired Zone where your shopping cart should be ready for you. And we'll take the next steps to create the order. All right. So that, click your shopping cart. 5 items. Does that sound right? Yep. 4 did. There you go. There's your total. Now, I don't know if you took a sneak peek before tonight. Take a moment. Is that within your budget, Chris, or do we have a problem? Are you able to proceed? What do you think?
This is within my budget.
Okay, cool. And then we already were told when you tried to estimate shipping to go further in the process. Go ahead and click checkout then. There is no coupon codes, I'll point out on the left, by the way. The margins are very tiny on Supermicro or any servers, really. And as you know, they're a little cheaper than HP and Dell and Lenovo and competitors. There's, again, razor thin margins on hardware these days. So there really is no coupon code. I know many people have asked me that, but their prices are fair. You will find you save hundreds over many competitors shopping here. So test me on that and make sure I'm honest in that. Go ahead and find other sites and competitors and make sure you're comfortable with the price you're paying. All right, so I'm going to have to blur this out, of course, with an address. Click continue. Is that where you want it to ship?
That is.
All right. So it's confirming your billing, your shipping, and then your shipping amount. So you're paying either FedEx 7877 or UPS Ground, or you can go a little quicker, but the prices jump up quite a bit to go quicker. Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm that is a big bump, isn't it?
And it's saying, yeah, it sure is. So, yep. For now, this is a U.S. thing. I don't have the shipping from the Netherlands, by the way. If hopefully people want that someday, or let me know if you do. Drop a comment.
All right. Here we go. And this includes the 4-hour burn-in period and all that stuff?
You're only ordering the base unit. There's no confusion
Right.
on their part. If you were putting hard drives in, you might get an email from them saying, hey, do you want us to do something with the hard drive? And you don't. You're not preloading anything.
Right.
So yeah, you're just going to be paying this amount, and it will do the 4-hour burn-in test. And they should be including a piece of paper that shows you that it passed that test, which is a nice little reassuring test. They'll actually be updating your IPMI and your BIOS if needed. So,
excellent.
Yep.
All right. I agree to the terms.
Okay, you now have an order number. And of course, for Wired Zone, it helps them if you give them feedback through third-party shopper approved.
Should we follow up to make sure you're satisfied with your order? Should I? No, I'm fine. If they'll figure it out. If I'm unsatisfied, they'll find out.
Hang on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, it turned red. So if you could just kindly say something like TinkerTry sent me, or thanks for the smooth experience, whatever. Just a word or two would be cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So if that's not necessary, we already have the affiliate link that kind of know, but again, you're trying to help shopper approved and third-party, you're trying to help sheepish buyers wondering if they should trust this company. So I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then you submit your feedback, and I think the red should go away. Oh, you are giving that? You don't have to give that. I wasn't telling you to sign up for that. But
No, I'm not. But they said, "Are you sure you don't want us to follow up?" And so they talked me into it.
Okay. And there it is. So Chris, if you click here for order details, you're not going to see anything too exciting. You're more interested in when people are during business hours and weekdays in Florida there, sending you follow-up, like, your order is shipped and so forth. Now, because you ordered a 1U, it'll take a little longer. They're probably grabbing it from San Jose, not charging you for that shipping to get it across the country and quickly get it ready for you. So you should have it within a week or so, but you are in New Hampshire from Florida, so that might be 3 or 4 days rather than 2 days. I'm not sure. Again, a pioneer. For folks that are getting the mini tower, though, Wired Zone has sold them quite well, and they keep many in stock. So those they turn around within 48 hours. Last tip would be, at the top, it says missed wire. Now, that's your username, which I just gave away. But anyhow, if you're wondering where your order history is, and people click on that word missed wire.
Where is it?
Top middle there, a little to the right. This is the
middle.
thing that people might not, if they're wondering where the order history or how they find it, this is where it is, and then orders on the left. So in case you get a little bit lost at Wired Zone, there's your tips, and then you can find your order history, and it looks like this is your first order, Chris. So
It is.
Any other questions from the Wired Zone side?
No, that was very smooth and easy. I mean, obviously, being able to go to your website and figure out, exactly what it was that I wanted made this substantially easier than having to go out for myself. And all of the bits and parts being on the the HCL made this basically a no-brainer for me.
Oh, great. Thank you. And again, your assembly, there is none. I mean, in your case, you're buying a USB key on Amazon. You're sticking it in the USB key port that you like on the front, and you power it up. Now, actually, let me just finish guiding you here. And I'm going to send you an email or follow up on this. So you can open a new tab or just go to tinkertry.com. So click on the server again on the right. Since yours is not sold as a bundle, there's no order sheet or spec sheet or saying, hey, this thing is a TinkerTry'd Bundle and it needs to have UEFI turned on in the BIOS for a smooth VMware experience. So that's about it. That's what I would be telling you to do. If you scroll down a little, I've got this monstrously long table of contents. A little more. Keep going. There we go. Woo, a lot of stuff.
Bam.
Now, the thing that you would want is a guy who bought not a bundle, but one that does need a very slight tweak to your BIOS before you're going to go forward with installing VMware. Let's look at BIOS recommended settings with video. There you go, bullet 20. You spotted it quickly, and that's basically it. And yours is going to arrive. Scroll down, and are you familiar with this iKVM interface, the Java interface that Supermicro uses? Have you used this before?
I've used KVM interfaces before, but not this one in particular.
Okay, and you have Java on this machine, which is going to be HTML5 soon, but not quite in time for you. Hopefully within a month or two, you can scrap Java and go with HTML5. But for now, the machine or whatever workstation you're using for sysadmin, basically when you turn your SuperServer on, if you hook up local video to it locally temporarily, you don't really need keyboard, video, mouse in the server. But if you temporarily hook up the VGA cable, and a keyboard, you can actually go and configure the BIOS. And this HTML5 video can play along in real time with you as you're just changing the settings. So I didn't speed it up or anything. It just shows me doing my thing. How do you know how to get to the IP address of your IPMI interface for that 5th cable that you put in the management port on your new 1U rack mount? The way you know is, well, if you hook up a local monitor, you see the IP address showing in the bottom right corner when the machine boots. That's your cheat. You don't need to do that. I'm sure, Chris, you know how to look up DHCP in your router. You can see the MAC address on the box. On the outside of the box, all 5 MAC addresses are listed. You'll know darn well what IP address to point to. There's many ways to find it. And Supermicro actually makes a Finder utility to scan your subnet. But it's kind of an old Windows utility. You really don't need it. So that's the gist of it. You can mount your ISO with the virtual media menu at the top left, Chris. So after you set the BIOS, like this article you're looking at, turn it into UEFI mode. So now ESXi install will be super slick, and that's the next article I'll point you to. So go ahead and hit back arrow. And scroll down a little.
Actually, hold on. Let me save this.
Okay.
We're going to put that in the bookmark bar. Yeah, there it is.
Great.
All right.
And scroll down a little more to the end of my table of contents. There we go. All right. How's Bullet 40 look?
How to easily install ESXi. Shazam.
And notice it's talking to anyone who has a Xeon D by Supermicro. Actually, frankly, it'd be similar in competitors' Xeon Ds, but they tend to use SFPs. You've got 10 gig interfaces that are plain old copper. So you've got 4 network drops in addition to your 5th for management only. So you have lots of networking, and you're going to have great options for your iSCSI. You can give it its separate network adapter. So because ESXi 6.0 at this time, and I suspect this will change soon, if you're watching this video in 6.5 or 6.1 or whatever they call it, has come out, well, they're probably going to have the 10 gig interface in there for you. But go ahead and left arrow for me. And we're going to just hit Control F for 10GBE. One word. Control F, 10GBE. There we go. Hit enter again. There's a few hits there. And there, keep going, keep going, keep going. There it is. How to download and install the 10GBE. All right, click on that. So if you want to use your extra 2 NICs, Chris, they're not going to show an ESXi 6 by default. So the default install goes great. You can see your fan speed, your temperature, your motherboard. There's no SIM modules or anything to install. Really, you're going to have one heck of a fun, Saturday or whenever you get this thing to power it up, put in ESXi. Minutes later, you've got ESXi booting off of that USB key. I'm sorry, you did set the BIOS up first with UEFI on. Then you booted off of virtual media mounted over the ISO. Through that iKVM interface, you just mount the ESXi install ISO.
Yep.
You hit F11 to select an alternate boot device. You select that USB key, install ESXi. It says eject media, and you're like, no, I've got a USB key. I'm going to leave it in there. You reboot, you got yourself VMware. Next step would be get into ESXi through SSH, and you would need to turn that on in security. And then you follow this. Now, check this out. It's gotten very easy to install this fib I wrote on June 18th. Jump below for details. Click on jump below. Click the word below. Wow, that's gotten that easy. 3 lines to cut and paste in. So the first one lightens up your firewall to allow your machine to get to the internet, if you allow that in your ESXi host. Second one pulls the VIB from from Key CDN. It'll be really fast for anyone in the world if you want to trust me with that VIB. If you don't, that's fine. You can still authenticate through my VMware. If you don't have an account there, you have to set up an account and go through kind of hoops just to get the darn code. So this is, use at your own risk, not for production, but if you have a home lab and you want to have 10 gig interface ridiculously easy, you just paste that in and then reboot the host and you're done. The rest of the article above where Chris is pointing with his mouse gives you the legitimate way that you're supposed to log into my VMware and grab that same VIB. Any questions, Chris?
No, this is awesome.
All right. And then if you scroll up a little, I even got a screenshot for you of what it looks like after it's installed. And click on that. That's picture, the GUI picture, sorry, right there. Yeah. So you can see my picture has a 10,000 negotiated. Now, I did that with a Cat7 cable looping back. It did auto crossover. So the two 10 gig interfaces were connected to each other. I didn't buy a $800 10 gig switch yet. I couldn't justify it yet unless I had 3 nodes in a cluster. But for 2 machines, you can direct wire them, right? So those are pricey and they're still, loud fans. So 10 gig switches for a home lab, maybe we're not quite there yet, but it's nice to know, Chris, if you bought a second one someday, whether it's the same ZND or some later successor, they're all going to have 10 gig going forward, and you could have one heck of a, vSAN or whatever other future projects you might have in the next, hopefully, 4+ years service life of the server, which is, I imagine, how you're thinking with a significant investment like this. I know I was when I spent this much money.
Yep, squeeze as much out of it as possible.
Now, Chris, a plug. Can you show us your site?
Oh, yeah,
because you impressed the pants off everyone who watched this. If you sat through this whole video, my goodness, I think people are going to see all your certifications in the upper right corner. So you have an amazing set of articles. And you know what? I'm putting you on the spot. You had mentioned a particular use case. Are you able to share that? You were going to do a little VPN action with some of your VMs?
Yes. That's going to be one of my my next articles. Is going to be taking this home lab that I'm going to build and setting up an AWS VPN connection up to my AWS servers.
Nice. So I couldn't be more proud to have you join the hundreds of owners out there before you that are rather happy with their Xeon-Ds. And it's really nice that you don't see people talking about mystery purple screens of death or trouble injecting or shoving drivers into the ESXi install media just to get it to boot. No, none of that. It's a lot easier than Intel NUCs, frankly, because you've got all this stuff on board. Intel NUCs are great, and they're much cheaper if you're trying to build a 3-node cluster. So you're going to be amazed when you get the M2 in there and put vCenter. It'll actually perform well.
I can't wait.
Okay, Chris, we're back, and we, off camera, started talking about UPSs, and I realized, I forgot to talk about that on film. My order page doesn't really, it doesn't push the UPSs hard because a lot of people own them. But here's the thing. Go ahead and type in your search bar at the top. Just remove my URL at the top, and we're going to Google search. All right. Watch what happens when you type ESXi space UPS space. Actually, let's just start with that. This article is pretty popular. I think 60,000, 70,000 people have read it. So hit enter. Let's see what Google spits out. Whoa. There I am. So the second link. It really is that popular. I wrote it way back almost when I started the site, 2012. So I found something under $130, whereas competitors want to charge you a license fee and have an expensive add-in card for network attach. Here we have a company, CyberPower, that admittedly not really supported, but they let you buy their USB consumer-focused products, the lower-end ones, that have a signal cable that goes to an appliance. It's a tiny VMware appliance you'll download. You'll point and it map the USB cable from this UPS to your 1U rack mount. And that's it, Chris. You give the credentials in the user interface, say, hey, here's my ESXi username, password. You tell the UPS software this appliance. Once it knows that, if power goes out in your house or you have a brownout for too long or whatever thresholds you set, it says ESXi shut down. And if you told the ESXi, when I do a shutdown, I want all VMs to gracefully shut down, and then ESXi will shut down itself. That's generally how you'd set it. And this article gets into the nitty-gritty of how to do that. So the picture in the upper right is how to actually order it. So let me just show you the 4 sizes, and click the little lower, the picture in the upper right there. Yep.
This guy.
That's your Amazon link, and there's your sizes. And okay, 130. The price has not changed in years. Amazon is hard to beat on this, frankly. Wired Zone's not, and many companies are not able to compete with Prime shipping. If you were thinking of Prime ordering, you're not actually signed up for Prime already? Is that true?
I'm about to click on the get 30 days of free Prime.
So I'm going to be a little nervy on this one. But so here's the sizes. This smallest one will absolutely suffice for your needs. If you have a lot of other stuff in your home lab, you could go a little bigger if you're looking for 5 or 10 minutes. But if you're really just looking for, 2 minutes of life to shut everything down, including your NAS, you could step up slightly to 1,000 for only $10, but you're not getting as much bang for your buck going to the 1350.
Right.
So I think that might suffice. So you can say add to your cart if you want. You already have some other stuff in your cart from earlier, right? The USB key and so. All right, and it's trying to sell you, like if you only have 6 ports on yours, not 8, I think. So it's a way to double the ports in the back without using power strips, which are not recommended. All right, so there's all the stuff we talked about. Now, one more thing. Go back to my homepage if you could on a new tab. And scroll all the way down. And I've written 780 articles. I've been at this for 5 years. I'm pretty serious about sticking around. One of those little things that you can do that doesn't cost you any money, Chris, is something like this. In the bottom right corner, I talk about Amazon Prime. If you click on the word Amazon Prime that's bolded, that's an affiliate link. So if you actually sign up in Amazon Prime, That's how Amazon knows you got that referral from me. And you still get your 30-day free. Same zero.
Oh,
So
nice.
there you go.
Okay.
You can click that yellow button and you're off and running. And I think we're all set now, right?
Shablam.
All right, so I'll say goodnight again for the second time tonight. Thank you. And if you have any questions about setting that up, go ahead and post it below the article about the ESXi host. But so many people have posted that, thumbs up, thank you, I'm so glad I bought this and it worked. And it's really straightforward to install that appliance. A guy like you that's well into your VMware career will have no trouble with automated shutdowns of your vSphere infrastructure. And it also is a PFC compatible, the newer power supply compatible. You won't get hum. So a lot of new electronics or new power supplies and servers, if you plug them into an old UPS from like 6 years ago, you hear like a buzz. The power supply makes a weird noise in the server and makes you kind of nervous. So This is a modern UPS that doesn't have that problem. So there you go. Okay, thanks again, Chris, for your time, and enjoy your new SuperServer that's now UPS protected. Have a great night.
Nice. Thanks, Paul.